Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat on time today. Listen, it's been a minute since I've played my intro, and I kind of want to play my intro today if I can find it. I haven't played it in a long time. That'll give me some time to set up everything in the stream that I still have to set up before we get started. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Let me do this intro right now. Let's go. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Bruh.
Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, chit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some drop 'em, drop 'em, drop 'em, drop 'em. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop 'em, drop 'em, drop 'em, drop 'em. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposed in the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring cults. Exploring. Researching. Debunking. Investigating. Being nosy. Super nosy. Being messy. Being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me. The chick with ADHD. Unmedicated. But quite educated. Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some. Drop 'em. Drop 'em. Drop 'em. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop 'em. Drop 'em. Drop 'em. Drop 'em. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome, everybody. Shout out to everybody in the chat. First of all, Katie, thank you for becoming a member. Shout out to Katie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. It's been a minute since I played my intro. I was like, I haven't really played my intro like that. Let me go. Because usually I'm like in a hurry. We're like, all right, we got to get started. But I think we're kind of cool on time today. Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well, taking care of yourselves, because it's like the holiday season, people tend to kind of start feeling a little bit funny and everything. Make sure you guys are checking in on your peoples, on your loved ones, seeing how people are doing, man. It's okay to just see, hey, are you good? What's going on? Welcome. You said Queen Rabbit has entered the chat. Oh, thank you. Welcome. Yeah, yes, I got my Winnie the Pooh shirt on today. Yes, I do. It's Baby Bunny's favorite, so I had to wear it. Welcome, welcome. It's Friday. Well, almost Friday Eve. Friday Eve. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Okay. So we definitely got, we don't get into the D4VD stuff, but I want to talk about another situation here that I'm like, girl, what? So you guys remember the DoorDash girl. Put a one in the chat if you remember the DoorDash girl. The girl who basically was filming. She was doing a DoorDash delivery. Shout out to the DoorDashers, y'all. I mean, listen, shout out to everybody that's out there delivering food. Y'all are amazing because, you got people that are you just never know what you're going to confront, right? So the girl, her name is Olivia Rose Henderson. Yeah, y'all remember. Okay. Yeah. The guy apparently, so she goes in there. She's got a camera. She's recording. The guy was like drunk, I think. It's been said in his undergarments his stuff was down. All right. She goes in there and she's filming, delivering food. And then she decides to do a video where she uploads all of that, uploads this video to TikTok. Okay. And then decides to file a police report and then is alleging a SA. All of this went viral. Well, she had court. Okay. The DoorDash delivery girl who filmed a drunk man passed out with his pants down makes her first court appearance. She pled not guilty and asked the judge to ban cameras in the courtroom. The judge responded saying, "So now you don't want cameras to be involved." I do have a problem with her saying to ban the cameras from the courtroom, because it's like, girl, what? Like, not the judge saying, "So now you want the cameras to be out." I'm trying not to laugh because it's a serious situation, honestly. But um, the investigation is a little bit more in depth in this little report that we're about to watch. But I do
The
love
Oswego City judge allowed
I do love this audacity of her. I will say that. Okay. I do love the audacity. Sometimes the audacity is so out of the radar that you kind of have to love it sometimes. So it's like, all right, this is just off the wall that I gotta love this audacity, but okay.
the Oswego City judge allowing News Channel 9 to record the proceedings. The first look at outside her popular TikTok page.
Their front door was wide open, and they were within eyesight of the front door, laying on the couch indecently exposed to me.
This is her last post, published October 26th, 2 weeks after her now deleted video causing this controversy. Working as a driver for delivery service DoorDash, Henderson claimed she was dropping off a food order when through the customer's door, saw him on the couch naked. After posting her footage, she reported the incident to Oswego police as sexual harassment.
Some of the claims that she had made on social media after the fact were not in fact true.
Investigators determined the man, drunkenly unconscious on his couch, did nothing wrong. But he found out lewd images of him were published for thousands of TikTok users to see. So police criminally charged Henderson with 2 counts related to unlawful surveillance. Court documents accuse her of recording, quote, intimate parts without consent when he had a reasonable expectation of privacy.
And to all those that have been supportive of me during this time, thank you so much.
For as talkative as she's been on TikTok until now, she had nothing to say while leaving the courthouse.
Livie, do you want to say anything about what happened?
She don't want to say nothing. She does not want to say nothing. Oh my God, my tinkle tits McGee is in the chat. The dude had a doorbell camera and she opened the door. Not his fault. No, but it's so crazy. Like, you really want to ban cameras out of the courtroom. I just find it just to be so weird. She literally made this guy a victim. Yeah. I don't know. Y'all let me know what you guys think. And Tinkle Tits, thank you for being a member for 34 months. Shout out to my member and mod, Tinkle Tits. OG, he's approaching OG 34 because we have 40s now. So shout out to Tinkle Tits. He's been a rider for our channel. Tiffany, thank you so much for becoming a member. Shout out to you. Yeah, so I guess I'd like to ask you guys, because I did receive, you know what? Ain't that this right here, Vicky? Y'all notice that she didn't receive charges? Wouldn't that be federal charges too? Because you put it on a TikTok app? I did receive some people that felt like they felt like she was a victim. Like, they still feel like she's a victim. And y'all are entitled to your opinion if that's what you feel. I don't think that she is, personally. Now that we know the story a little bit more, I think that she wanted a viral moment. I don't think it's anybody, right? Like, whoever is intoxicated and you're delivering, and nobody should be exposed to anything. Please note that nobody should be exposed to anything. But nobody would have known anything as well, like, had you not uploaded that video. You know what I mean? But that is a great question. You uploaded the video to a international app and no federal charges for the corn stuff? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Y'all let me know what you guys think in the comments. And then we have Tina. Tina, thank you so much for being a member for 20 months. Thank you. Shout out to Tina. Yes. Thank you, Tina. Supporting the channel for so long. Violation of privacy. Well, I think that if I were to wake up and I noticed that somebody took a video of me and I was intoxicated or whatever, like, yeah, that I think I would be upset too to find out that my stuff is all over TikTok. Non-consensual C-corn is both state and federal charges. So yeah, why isn't she charged federally? But she does have people that support her. They feel like she is a victim. Yeah. Personally, I just don't see it that way. I think that honestly, people have to be careful with what's the word? And I'm trying to be very careful how I say this because sometimes it might upset a couple people, but I think that people have to be very careful with how we are labeling or how we are. Hold on one second, y'all. How we are labeling. I don't want to say if it's like victims, I don't know, man, because it's like it's weird. Like I said, I had comments that kind of went both ways where it was like, well, she's a victim, and I'm like, I don't think that that's the case here, but I get why people would feel some type of way, honestly. Why is she a victim? People believe that she is. Yeah. You said don't drink and DoorDash at the same. Well, don't. I mean, I could see, like if you're drinking, right? You're drinking and it's like you just want to stay home. You don't want to deal with people. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense because then you're not drinking and driving to go get food, right? So I could see that. I don't know. But his Ring door camera showed something different. And I think people have to validate that. I think people like when she went live and she's like, I'm a victim. And she yelled it very loudly. I'm a victim. Yes, they can be. Yes. So yeah, I saw both versions of the video. I saw she was very upset, and it really sucks. It does happen, when you're kind of like delivering things and stuff like that. But she could have dealt with this a little bit different. She could have reported to the police and not uploaded the video, right? Just a couple things. Reported the police, don't upload the video, report to DoorDash, right? And not upload a video. Now, if she wanted to do a video about what happened to her without actually uploading the full video, that would have been amazing. Right? That's it. Yeah. Don't snoop. There's different ways you could have done it. But you uploaded a video and then you filed a police report. That's what you did. And I think she knows she's wrong. I personally don't think that this is going to look too good on her, but I do wonder why aren't there any federal charges on her, honestly. And I think she tried to play people, but hey, that's just my opinion. Okay, we are going to talk about I don't think we did not watch this TMZ video yesterday. We're going to talk about law and crime on D4VD and just kind of give commentary. Y'all, let me know what you guys think. This is what Harvey broke. Was it yet? This was yesterday, right? Yeah, 18 hours ago. This was yesterday. Now, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. I guess I'll hold my thoughts until we get started here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments as we're reviewing this.
One who is about to get arrested in the case involving the death of Celeste Rivas, and it is not David. We know a lot. Let me download you on what we found out. So this week, there has been a witness before the grand jury, and he is intimately involved in David's life, the singer David, who the LAPD and the LA County DA says in a suspect in what they believe is the murder of Celeste Rivas. His name is Robert Morgenroth. Robert Morgenroth is the head of Mogul Vision, which is...
I was looking a little bit more to the Zara brothers business. And they have a couple of businesses out there, right? Like they're like entrepreneurs. Okay. You said Harvey breaking the news. Yeah. This is a really bad stop. Y'all this is why I get in trouble. Look at Harvey's face. I stopped it. I paused it. Okay, sorry. They have a lot of businesses, lots of businesses, a lot of people involved. Mogul Vision. There's different things behind the Zara brothers. Okay.
The label for David. but more than just the executive, the general manager, he is a manager. He manages David, and he is involved in David's day-to-day life and clearly knows a lot. So on Monday, Morgan Roth was in the hallway with his lawyer, and there were people around, and they weren't sitting or standing right next to them, but the hallway echoes. And it was clear to people around there that there was a conversation that Morgan Roth was having with his lawyer. And he was recounting what happened inside the grand jury room with the prosecutor in the case.
I'm starting, it's just like all these details. It sounds like there's a TMZ reporter out there. So they have invited a TMZ reporter to this like secret grand jury, investigative grand jury, or a grand jury. There might actually already be somebody out there that's bringing the news in. These are just very specific details. And I said it yesterday. Isn't that, it's giving that to me. I mean, just everything that's being put out there. How do you know all this, right? And it's interesting how they put, well, somebody overheard the conversation. I believe that. Because in the article that we read yesterday, it further said that there was another room and they couldn't go to the other room. So I'm like, this isn't like the janitor at the courthouse. This is literally a reporter in there. That's what this is. That's in there. That TMZ has in there. Somehow they were able to get a reporter in there. Moods, thank you so much for the $4.99, my love. Thank you. It's a lot different things happening in there. Yeah, he said there's a reporter outside of the grand jury. That's how now I'm assuming that that's okay by the court and the DA at this point. Because how are you got articles being written of this. People are out there, like, people know what's going on. There's nothing secretive at this point. They just can't be in the deliberations or when the people are testifying.
The prosecutor, Beth Silverman, according to Morgan Roth, said she was very pushy on why I didn't call police. And then he went on to say that he said in response to that he said, quote, I feel like I didn't have the responsibility to do that and just wanted to continue with the tour. Now, we do not know the context of this.
We don't know the context of anything. We can assume, and other people have been speculating. And then we had those articles that we were sharing yesterday where it's like, there's something missing here. One of them was like, didn't you call the police after you found the body or something like that? Something to that effect. I did. Somebody said here, I did get an email. So there's another creator by the name of Trapmore Ross. And I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that video. I'm gonna be very honest with you. Okay, did y'all hear about the other video that was dropped by? He's a much bigger creator than I am. Please note that. I don't know what information he has. I think he's strictly going by Reddit. I don't know. Put a one in the chat if you heard it. I could tell you the title, and y'all are gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. Hold up. It says, D4VD killed another minor in 2022. I'm not reviewing that. I'm sorry. You say he's, I don't know, man. Where are they coming from? I just don't know how I feel about that. Like, based off of what? See, and I get in trouble all the time because people are like, well, now we're just saying X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Screenshots from Discord. He says he doesn't know if it's correct. That's why I'm like, okay. Just like I said, I've done that before. There was a friend who talked to the Mirror, an alleged friend who said he or she was friends with D4VD and then described, his changes being weird and whatnot. I don't know. But that's a huge allegation to just put out there. And look, I don't have a platform of 300,000 followers. So maybe he's okay saying that publicly on his platform and not worry about any kind of a lawsuit that might come at anybody's way. I don't know. He bases all of his videos off of tweets and social media. Really, 9-1 Darby? Well, he says he does say he doesn't know, but he put it out there. So At least if I'm pulling something from an article or if there's a voice person, I'm going to show you where I got it from and who said it and what. But I don't believe personally that there's another minor out there, but I don't know D4VD. And again, this is Holly weird, so keep that in mind. James, thank you so much for this super sticker. The pew pew fight between the turtles and the tortoises was barbaric. Empty shells everywhere. That is a hilarious joke. Okay, that was cute. It's barbaric. You don't think this? I don't know, man. Well, let me know when he gets charged with another one. Then, if that is the case, then it's a whole different story. Then we're looking at a different story. But for now, I just don't know how I feel about it. I'm skeptical. And I think I'm allowed to be. All right. Y'all are entitled to your opinion. Forgive me, but this is how I sit on it right now.
But when the DA is grilling him about not calling the police, that has to involve a crime because somebody didn't show up for work. You're going to call the police if there's some kind of crime involved, especially since this is a case involving what the DA says is a crime. So we don't know what Morgan Roth knew that would require him, according to the DA, to pick up a telephone and call the police. But there's something. And again, he was involved in David's day-to-day life. So, okay, there is more. There is another manager in this same company, and his name is Josh Marshall. That name may be familiar to you because Josh Marshall was the guy who leased the house in the Hollywood Hills that David was staying at.
Interesting.
It is the same house that the LAPD raided pursuant to a search warrant just shortly after Celeste's body was found inside David's Tesla.
And please note, he didn't know that, like, at least the owner of the house did not know that D4VD was staying there. Of course, he just thought that this was Josh Marshall. You said don't play his videos because he strikes. I'm not. I have not even. I don't. I've heard of him. I've seen some of them. Some of them is a lot of content is based off of Reddit. And you know what? We've all had. I do it too all the time, right? Please note that. But I just struggle a little bit because I don't have that. I cannot afford, and we don't know what's going to be the outcome. So we do have to be careful when it comes to things like this. But hey, you know, everybody to each his own. It's not my channel, not my issue.
We are told by law enforcement sources that that house and that search was really critical in their investigation. So Josh Marshall, who leased the house, who signed the lease, is part of the company Mogul Vision that Morgan Roth is also involved with. Morgan Roth and Josh Marshall are both managers of David. So they seem to know a lot about David. I don't know, we don't know if Josh Marshall was called as a witness. I would frankly be very surprised if he wasn't. But Morgan,
I'm pretty sure that he was. And then also, to go further, Neo the Asian. So I don't think that we even have anything like, what's the word? We don't even know Neo the Asian's real name. And I was even looking further into the social media, and I was like, I can't tag a legal name behind a lot of these accounts. Like, there's no way to really connect like anything. So what's been put out there about him even his DOB is not correct. I don't think he's 28. I don't think anything that is Neo the Asian out there is actually like tells us anything about his actual legal information, if that makes sense. Was it Obsidian? Obsidian emailed me this morning and it was like, didn't you say that you knew the name? And I was like, you know what? Do I? And I started looking. I'm like, you know, I don't know this guy's name. I don't think we do. I think we only know him by Neo the Asian. Now, if you Google search him, you're going to see a bunch of like other people, but he does not look like those other people. I don't think we have a legal name for Neo the Asian, to be quite honest.
Roth testified for at least 3 days. We don't know if he was testifying last week as well. One other interesting thing happened on Tuesday. Morgan Roth went into a courtroom that is next to where the grand jury was hearing the testimony. And along with Morgan Roth, the DA, Beth Silverman, also walked in. Now that's important because when there's something that happens in the grand jury where there's a dispute, for example,
Look at
if
this.
a witness won't answer a question and the DA is pressing for an answer, if there's a stalemate, the DA can go to the judge and force the witness to testify, or at least get the judge to do that. We don't know if that's why they walked in, but both Morgan Roth and Beth Silverman walked into that courtroom. And when they did, we have a reporter who was down there who was in the courtroom.
There you go.
And the judge kicked our reporter out and closed the hearing.
So yeah, how secretive is this if you got reporters out there? So it's not like, oh, you have Rob who was eating the grilled cheese at the cafeteria at the courthouse and he was speaking loudly. I really think that there's, like you said, now we know there's reporters out there that are being able to report on some of this information. I'm wondering if the the LA Times is going to drop any kind of new information, because it just makes you wonder. They were the ones that put out about the grand jury, first people, right? And the reason why they knew about it, I think it was accidental. The narrative that I've heard, they weren't supposed to find out. They stumbled upon a document that basically did not get sealed on time, which was the GJ document with the number, and then it followed by the information.
So something was going on about what was happening in the grand jury room, and it may well be there was some dispute over what Morgan Roth would or would not say. Now let's go to Wednesday, because this gets even more interesting. So I told you that Beth Silverman is the DA. Morgan Roth's lawyer is a woman by the name of Evan Janess. So this is after the conversation on Monday. On Wednesday, Beth Silverman gets out into the hallway and starts talking to attorney Evan Janess. And what we are told by people who are around there is that that Beth Silverman was very frustrated and said that she would have a judge issue a body attachment to a female witness that was supposed to appear before the grand jury.
Janess represents Morgan Roth and one of this female, I'm assuming, right? So if they are the ones, I mean, everybody's eating off of D4VD, right? Sounds like D4VD is the talent. This is the entourage. Everybody. So this guy, and this is an assumption, hires a lawyer that represents him and the other witness, who possibly, we've all speculated, could be the Laney lady or Asia or whatever. We don't know. Okay.
A witness whom Janess represents. Remember, Janess also represents Morgan Roth. So apparently this witness didn't show up, and Beth Silverman seemed frustrated, according to the people there, and said to Janess, I'm going to have a body attachment placed on this woman, and we're going to have her taken to court. That's an arrest, taken to court to appear before the grand jury. So we don't know if that woman also has a connection to Morgan Roth, who is again represented by Evan Janess. So there are a lot of connections here.
I mean, I don't know how you, maybe I'm just making a really bad assumption here to think that there is a connection based on the fact that they have the same lawyer. I don't know, but maybe it's just me making a wrong speculation here.
Connections between Josh Marshall and Morgan Roth, both of whom were really intimately involved in David's day-to-day life. And then you have this female witness who may be involved with Morgan Roth as well, because the same lawyer represents both of them. And you've got a situation where it sounds like not everybody is being fully cooperative with the prosecutor, who seems to be getting increasingly frustrated as the grand jury plows along.
And there's been a discussion about immunity, and we have to talk about that, y'all. Now, make sure I got the closed captions on this one. So this is the Law and Crime. Now, I actually have not watched it because I said I wanted to watch it with you guys. But apparently, Jesse Weber brings some other kind of legal people, and I want to get into this.
It was reported that David is being considered a suspect by the LAPD. But look, we can't even 100% confirm that a grand jury is in fact hearing evidence, because grand juries are secret. They're supposed to be secret. It's not going to be confirmed by authorities. However, law enforcement sources apparently helped to confirm this, according to the LA Times. And according to the LA Times, they cite how in a court filing in this case, there is a reference to a GJ number, a grand jury number. I'll talk about that a little bit more, because it was reported that there is an investigative grand jury that has been hearing evidence in this case for some time. Now, an investigative grand jury, if that's actually what this is is different than what you might think. If this is true, an investigative grand jury doesn't issue indictments, formal charges. They can recommend charges. They can help with issuing subpoenas for witnesses. They can produce other evidence. And then usually all of that can be taken to another grand jury.
So there might be more grand juries. Yes, was it Fire Rabbit who asked what a body attachment is? So a body attachment, we talked about this yesterday. It's like a writ of what is it? A writ of body attachment. That's what they called it. It's just like a court order or like a civil arrest, or what is it? Not a bench warrant. Is it called a bench warrant? I mean, there's just so many names for it. But anyways, it's supposed to be issued when somebody ignores like a court order, or you failed to show up and to a hearing, and then you get to basically face a judge, and they're serious. There's a serious thing. You have to basically, I would get a lawyer, right? Just to make sure you don't go to jail over it. So when the DA is talking about, I'm going to get me a body attachment, does that mean that that witness is not showing up? What is happening? They're not showing up to hearings, which could force them to be arrested and then brought over to face the judge? Just so people are aware. Okay.
For an indictment. All of that to say, if this is true, we have a big development. TMZ is reporting that the president of David's touring company was questioned by a deputy district attorney in front of the grand jury on Monday. We are referring to Robert Morgenroth, who apparently heads up Mogul Vision, that's David's record label, and also Zara Brothers Travel, the touring company. Now, TMZ is reporting that Morgenroth comes out of the courtroom, is in the hallway, and was allegedly overheard telling his lawyer that the deputy DA who was questioning him, quote, "She was very pushy on why I didn't call police." And quote, "I said I feel like I didn't have the responsibility to do that and just wanted to continue with the tour." Let me break that down. We don't know if this is true, obviously, right? But
they overheard it. I'm telling you, it's a reporter. They overheard it. They just said it was a reporter. Thank you so much, Vicky. Yeah, Vicky put the definition there as well. I see other people like Stella put the definition as well in there. Yeah, so why didn't you call the cops? And it leaves that for interpretation. He just wanted to continue with the tour. We don't know what that means. Was that after the body was found? Was that when he found out it was a minor? What exactly? And I'll be honest with you, this Rob Morgenroth, yeah, that's how you say his last name. He kind of gives me the impression that he's kind of like that guy, kind of looks away for things. Everybody's eating off of D4VD, right? They're not trying to ruin the tour. So keep that in mind.
If it's true, and if he was in fact questioned about this and about Celeste's case, if that's the grand jury he's a part of, or what he's testifying to, that would signal that he potentially knew a crime was committed and didn't do enough. That the reference to the tour could be about David's tour, because after all, David was on tour when Celeste's body was found. The tour was ultimately canceled when this was making a lot of news, and David has been basically been MIA since.
Yeah.
And
don't forget he was supposed to perform at the Grammys too, and that didn't go through.
Exactly. Did Morgenroth know about what was going on? Does that mean David knew something? Does that mean David was connected to this? Obviously, there's a lot of questions, but to have someone directly connected to the singer being reportedly questioned in a grand jury proceeding, that's a big development that we have to talk about. And I should note that it was reported that the deputy DA presenting evidence to the grand jury, okay? So if this is true, it has been reported that that may be Beth Silverman. She is a career prosecutor who apparently handles some very big, high-profile murder cases in the.
We did a video on that. Who was the Grim Sleeper? The Grim Sleeper. So she all the cases that she's in it to she's very aggressive. I've heard various things about people that have encountered. She's very aggressive. She plays no games. Okay. Nothing.
County. She once received the Centurion Award for Excellence in cold case investigations with technical support. She was the one who prosecuted Samuel Little, the most notorious serial killer in American history. Got 3 convictions against him. She is a big deal. Now, as we're trying to sort out that grand jury information, I have to also mention something else, another development. This is with respect to Steve Fisher. We've had him on the show before. He is the private investigator who was hired by the owner of the property that David was reportedly staying at, which was near where the Tesla with Celeste's body that was found inside. That property had been subject to a search warrant by police, by the way. So look, Steve has been quite vocal about his investigation. Obviously, he doesn't share all the details about what he has found, but he posted this on X, and we got to talk about it. Quote, "What's done in the dark will come to the light. Tomorrow morning, I have been ordered to appear in the Los Angeles County."
The fact that Law and Crime is talking about this, oh my God. They're talking about the Twitter post that we've been talking about. Okay, I'm here for it. What do you have to say about this, Jesse?
Criminal court for an order to show cause hearing for contempt. I was not served with a summons. I was not given a complaint outlining the alleged contempt to respond to. There is no case number, and I do not appear anywhere on the court's public docket. I was handed a handwritten note from a deputy district attorney on Friday and told to appear Tuesday morning. He also appears to have posted that note. A punishment hearing in criminal court that is not even assigned the case number, seemingly because they do not want this to be public information. Love me or hate me, this should concern you. The fact that this is happening in our criminal court system is terrifying. That is why I'm going public before the hearing tomorrow, which I will not be attending, so that the public and the press are aware of what is happening. Here is the backstory. Recently, I testified on 2 separate days as a witness before a grand jury. When I was served with the subpoena for the first day of testimony, 2 detectives came to my door at 6 a.m. and instructed me to immediately call the deputy district attorney.
Yeah.
She told me that because I was now a grand jury witness, I was no longer allowed to speak about this case and that it would be illegal if I did. This put me in an impossible position. I have a client directly related to this case. If I cannot speak to my client, I am violating my professional duty. This was the entire point of calling me as a grand jury witness. It was a strategy used to try to silence me. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has publicly spoken about a similar silencing strategy being attempted against their office. Then I did my research on the law, spoke to lawyers, and
guys, let me know what you guys think. Again, we've reviewed this, so it's a lengthy post, but we've reviewed this already. What do y'all think in the comments?
Found out I was being lied to. Here is the critical fact. In California, witnesses to a grand jury do not have a general obligation of secrecy. That obligation applies to the jurors and officers of the court. A witness is only bound to secrecy regarding anything they learn solely from the grand jury proceeding. It does not apply to anything they already knew before testifying or anything learned outside the grand jury. I want to pause here because many people are going to search this online, and Google AI is likely going to give them the wrong answer by claiming that witnesses must remain completely silent. If you click through to the actual sources it cites, you'll see that the AI summary is incorrect.
By the way, Garagos, if you guys saw my pre-recorded video yesterday, Garagos did that phone interview. We got the subtitles to it so you guys can read it. Garagos basically sided with SF and said, if you're a grand jury witness, you're not bound by certain things.
California law is silent on imposing total secrecy on witnesses. Instead, witnesses are routinely admonished that they may not disclose certain things, but those certain things only include what was learned from the grand jury proceeding itself, not independent knowledge or publicly known facts. In 1983, the California Attorney General issued a written opinion on this exact issue for legal clarification. It is very clear. I have attached screenshots of that opinion. I also want to be very clear about this. I never disclosed my testimony, even though the law would have allowed me to discuss my own testimony. I never publicly disclosed that I was a witness before the grand jury, not once and not twice. Instead, the deputy district attorney abused the power.
The homeowner hired SF. It was the homeowner who hired SF.
Of the grand jury process in an apparent attempt to silence me. I was told that I broke the law, and I was given a handwritten note telling me to appear in criminal court for a contempt hearing. There is no summons. There is no case number. The matter does not appear on the public docket. There is no documentation outlining what I'm accused of so that I can respond. I was also told that if I left town, I had to be back by Tuesday morning. I wrote a detailed letter to both the judge and the deputy district attorney explaining my position. They have had that letter since Friday afternoon. I received no response. With a hearing just hours away and the threat of a contempt charge hanging over my head in what appears to be a secret off-the-books court proceeding, I had no choice but to go public so that the people and the press are aware of what is happening. This is the only way I can protect myself from what I believe to be an abuse of power. It is frightening that this is happening at the highest levels of our court system. There is power in transparency. I was left no choice. So you can read between the lines and make a very strong argument that he's talking about the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. We don't know for sure. Look, there is a lot we do not know about what is going on, partly because, and this is something that seemed to have been referenced by Steve Fisher, the medical examiner. The medical examiner, we reported this before, received a court order that was sought by the LAPD to place a security hold on any information being released from the ME's office. So no records or cause or manner of death information can be released to the public about Celeste. And as I mentioned before, the LA Times apparently reviewed this court petition seeking the security hold that makes reference to a grand jury number.
So here's the question that I have for the chat. Do you guys feel like this this thing that they were doing here was strategic and part of the prosecutor to, I don't know about the note, right? He did testify once. He says this on his Twitter, on X. So he received at least one notice to appear. Did he receive a second one? And how is that considered a notice, the handwritten one? I don't know.
Seemingly a grand jury number, hence why they are reporting it's possible a grand jury has been convened here. And I will also say the robbery homicide division of the LAPD released a statement at the end of last month that said the following, quote, "The Los Angeles Police Department is aware of the recent stories posted by various media outlets about the David Celeste Rivas investigation and would like to dispel some information contained in their reporting. The body of Celeste Rivas was not frozen when it was discovered on September 8th, 2025. So that is directly contradicting what was reported by TMZ. They have actually been doubling down on their reporting and their sources. She had not been decapitated. We have evidence that David traveled to the Santa Barbara area sometime during the spring of 2025. The reason for that trip is still under investigation, and we've drawn no conclusions at this point about the relevance of the trip to this case. As far as the court order, the LAPD sought to seal the records of the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's investigation into Celeste Rivas' death. That order was sought only to ensure detectives from Robbery Homicide Division learned of important information surrounding her death before the media and the public. The order was not sought to undermine transparency. No other information will be provided at this time. I want to make sense.
I can understand that piece. So I talked to somebody that works directly with one of these big channels, very well-known channel that a lot of you guys probably follow on YouTube. And they tell me that various people that show up to give commentary, whether it's like legal commentary or whatever, they aren't typically compensated. So it's kind of like if you go up there, it gives you a bit of a following, right? But they aren't typically paid to give. That's my understanding. I was told this by somebody who I know that works behind the scenes in getting people up there. They don't compensate people for giving commentary on that. It's supposed to help your development to a certain degree, but that's how it usually works. Yeah, guests are not paid, just so people are aware. So like to assume that Steve Fisher was paid, I don't think you can assume that. And I'm telling you, it does not matter. Now, unless it's like there's an exclusive something where it's a little bit different, but people that are constantly on social media don't typically get paid to just show up and give commentary to a case. Just letting y'all know from what I've heard from somebody that I know works in arranging some of these. Is it possible that LE is trying to secure justice with all these people putting stuff out? Maybe they feel that it's impacting the impossibility of justice. I don't know. I'm torn. I hear you, good Nanya. I mean, maybe that's why they want it quiet. Now, I didn't know people were calling because I heard people were calling the ME. I don't know why people are calling the ME for what exactly? I don't know. That to me sounds like counterproductive. Like it's different if you're going to order documents, you wait for your documents to because you can do that. But to call the ME to ask about information that I don't know. That's what I heard too, that people were calling the ME asking for updates.
To this new development, the grand jury, right? This idea of who may have testified. Let me bring in once again Colin L. Schmidt, retired FBI agent, president, CEO of Kronos Litigation Experts. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Let's start here. How much credence do you give to the idea that we really know there is a grand jury being impaneled and that we really know who is testifying in front of the grand jury right now? Because it's definitely possible that this guy, Morgan Roth, was overheard and that he might be testifying in this case.
Well, it appears you have multiple data points confirming that there's a grand jury based upon the people who participated in the proceeding. So the like you talked about the rules of secrecy, the DA's office and officers of the court, which happen to be robbery homicide detectives, are not going to reveal that information. And that won't, if indeed it is a grand jury and panel, it's not going to come out until after the indictment is filed. And then once the indictment is basically from the grand jury, and that will confirm all of these things that are going on.
If it is true that Morgan Roth is testifying, why would they want him to testify?
Well, I think generally speaking, in a violent crime, you don't do grand juries on the local level. You do a preliminary hearing, which means you would have a probable cause, you arrest somebody, and then you present your probable cause to a judge. And the judge would determine if you have enough probable cause to.
What do you guys think? Like, this is somebody who was with D4VD. What do y'all think he knows? I guess that's the question. Is like, yeah, I'm like, or at least, I mean, do you guys think that at the very least he knew that Celeste was a minor? This guy was very close to him day to day. That's our understanding of who this guy is. Every day, close to him. Probably closer to him than his own mom, like, or because they live in a different state.
Support that arrest. I think in this case, the grand jury was impaneled because they want to lock in the witness statements and have no surprises during trial. So I think it's a very effective legal strategy, because you're going to basically have your trial, know what all these people are going to say before you have to put them out in the public. But in terms of that person testifying, if he indeed testified, like I said, it won't be confirmed until there's an indictment. I think having him there as a witness is logical, because he was interacting with their person of interest throughout this whole process, and he is going to have some explaining to do if he indeed understood there was a crime, because there's another law, at least in the federal system, called misprision of felony, which means if you knew there was a crime and you took efforts not to report it, that puts you in some sort of legal jeopardy. So this case is starting to kind of come together, and I think it appears that there may be an indictment here shortly.
You mentioned what potential liability could be there if someone knew about a crime and didn't report it. But why grill him about that? Because I thought it was interesting.
Does he need immunity? Remember that kept like that's the word that keeps flying around, immunity. Does he need immunity? Me as a lawyer, but did he know something that would require him to need immunity?
To suggest, what was he told, by whom, when did he know it? Because you have somebody who's directly connected to David. You have somebody talking about the tour. The tour was going on when Celeste's body was discovered. There's still a question of how long she was in that car. They believe it was for quite some time. But just assuming these statements are true and assuming that he was really grilled about this and was questioned about this, what does that tell you about his alleged involvement? What does that tell you about anybody else's alleged involvement? And of course, most importantly, what does that tell you about David's potential alleged involvement?
Take a step back and look at the elements of the crime, and knowledge and intent, or consciousness of guilt, demonstrates intent. So I think when they're saying, why didn't you report this? They're basically saying there was a cover-up, and a cover-up would be indicative of consciousness of guilt. So I think what she's trying to do is establish the consciousness of guilt, not only by him, but by the person that they have targeted in terms of this investigation. So it is relevant that, oh, hey, why did you not report this? Because they want to know if somebody told him not to report this, and which that would show consciousness of guilt.
Is there a possibility that there could be an explanation here where David had absolutely no idea what was going on, that David had absolutely no idea that Celeste was in the car, that he wasn't informed of anything because he was on tour, they didn't want to distract him from tour? And we can jump to the other conclusion, right? We can jump to these other conclusions about what David's alleged involvement is. We don't know for sure. Again, he hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been criminally charged.
So I just got sent an email. Thank you. I'm not going to reveal your name, but I guess TMZ just did another video. I don't know if they have a new update, or if this is just a live that they finished. I'm scared to hit the TMZ because I don't know if it's like an actual, you know how they put huge update and it's like nothing. Let me finish like a little bit of this and then I'll see what new they have. Okay.
Authorities haven't officially come out and called him a suspect or a person of interest. But is it possible that if you dissect that statement, you could wonder, was David properly communicated anything about what was going on?
Well, obviously we're speculating on this show, but you have to kind of apply a logical inference. He was very close to David. He was his tour manager. He's making lots and lots of money off of this guy. So there's a high probability that he was aware of the relationship between David and the decedent. And I want to make one more point. We have a lot of things going on in this case, but we still have to go back to the fact that a child was found dismembered in a car. Period. End of story. You have all these people getting involved and
I keep saying that too, right? I mean, you said it's clickbait. Yes. Hold up. Let me acknowledge somebody who made a comment here. I don't want to get too far. Oh my God, where's my StreamYard? Yes. Rabbit Neo, the Asian, posted 2 pictures. Yes, you're absolutely correct. I've seen those. What was that already? It was already known. The question was, is that what is his do we know his legal name? I have 3 people that just emailed me and said it's this and that and the other, and it's not even the same name that you guys are sharing with me. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think people are speculating on this guy's name, and that's not correct. People have said that it's this name and this name instead of like showing me how'd you determine that. It's got to be one legal name.
And reporting on this and putting their opinions and this and that and the other. But we have to go back to it's about justice for this child. She has rights too, even though she's deceased, and we have to respect those rights.
And to be clear, there is obviously mixed reporting on the state of her body. Was it dismembered or not? What we do know is she's dead. What we do know is her decomposed body was found in that car. There's a question of what happened. Yeah. There's a question of was this a homicide?
She didn't put herself there as well, right? There's a lot. Parents, what happened? I have a lot of questions. The people around, the adults, what happened?
Was this just a cover-up of her body and disposal of a body, which is insane to be thinking about. But again, you're 100% right. We want to keep that. We want answers because we want answers for her and her family. This idea, though, that you might have people testifying in front of the grand jury and potentially Mr. Morgenroth, does that also tell you anything about a second suspect? I've mentioned this before on Sidebar. I'll mention it again. You had acclaimed criminal defense attorney Mark Garagos, who said on his 2 Angry Men podcast that there is a second suspect that has been identified by authorities, somebody who is connected to the disposal of Celeste's body, saying they've got this thing down to a timeline that's almost down to the minute, triangulated down to the location. It's social media, cell phone, Tesla, it's other GPS tracking devices. Is it possible that when we're talking about a grand jury, we're talking about potentially people who testified?
Okay, let me stop and acknowledge Sean Davy Way in the chat. Shout out to Sean Davy Way, you guys. Make sure you guys are following Sean Davy Way. He's also covering the D4VD case. Shout out to Sean Davy Way. I'm sorry, I was like, I got to stop. Okay, because I got to stop the show to say, shout out to Sean Davy Way. I love you too. Thank you for stopping by. All right. Yes. Okay, let's keep going.
Including this guy who was connected to David. Could this all be about a second suspect?
Well, I think it comes back to her legal strategy, just based on my experience using grand jury. She wants to make sure there's no surprises when they put this out because the media attention on this is white hot. But to your point about a second suspect, that's part of the grand jury, an investigative grand jury, to ask those questions to see if there's some sort of either a conspiracy to be involved in this murder or crime or disposal of body, or was there a conspiracy to cover it up? She's using the grand jury like the founding fathers had designed it, is to conduct an investigation, get everything out in the record, and make sure that justice is served for her, complete justice. That means everybody that was involved in this will see.
Somebody asked in the chat if D4VD would be testifying here. No, he would not. This is not about D4VD. This is literally the prosecutor and some of the witnesses and these grand juries, which consists of like 20 plus people, just so people are aware.
See justice.
Colin, it's no secret that law enforcement authorities are trying not to reveal too much about this investigation. Steve Fisher, that post on X, okay? There were a lot of parts in that post that...
He's asking about Steve Fisher? All right, let's see.
Line up with different aspects of this case, talking about his client who's connected to the case, talking about a deputy DA referring to her as she, possibly Beth Silverman, this idea, testifying in front of a grand jury. We're talking about a potential grand jury here. The ME's office, right? I mentioned that before. His, take on what the ME's office is allowed or not allowed to say is very consistent with what we're seeing. I think it's a fair argument to say this is about the Celeste Rivas Hernandez David case. We don't know for sure. We don't know for sure what Steve is saying. What did you take away from that? His fight back against this and this idea that also law enforcement and the DA's office, they're trying seemingly to not release any information about what's going on right now.
Uh-oh.
Well, as a former law enforcement officer and somebody who's a private citizen, if I'm asked to participate or assist in finding justice for a child, I'm going to do it. And I'm also a licensed private investigator, which is part of the code of ethics that private investigators in California are under. Arguably, you can make that argument where they have to cooperate with law enforcement. But the post was so long, and you have to take a step back and say, what was the harm to him to go back and testify and support this investigation and do what he needed to do and cooperate? If law enforcement asked me as a PI, hey, can you just keep it down a notch and just stay quiet while we get through this, I'm absolutely going to do that. And I'm going to tell them, whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do. So,
okay. Let me go back a little bit, okay? Because this is the problem that I have with this. He said that, what is the problem with Steve not participating? Well, I don't think that's the issue. The issue is that he's already testified once. He just hasn't been served again to actually go and testify. Do I just assume that because I testified once and maybe I thought I was done that day, that somehow I'm required to show up when when somebody writes me on a piece of toilet paper, here's the courthouse and the time and the judge? If you don't serve somebody, how are they supposed to know? Like, legally serve somebody, how are they supposed to know to show up? That's the question that I have. Like, I agree with him. Like, if law enforcement is telling you to keep it down, cool, no problem, do it, keep it down. But if you're not going to serve me correctly, no, I don't need to. We can just, I don't know how y'all feel, but that's the basis of SF's post. It's very cryptic, I'll give you that, and very long. But I think that I don't know how you can explain the situation the way that it is.
What did you take away from that? His fight back against this, and this idea that also law enforcement and the DA's office, they're trying seemingly to not release any information about what's going on right now.
Well, as a former law enforcement officer and somebody who's a private citizen, if I'm asked to participate or assist in finding justice for a child, I'm going to do it. And I'm also a licensed private investigator, which is part of the code of ethics that private investigators in California are under. Arguably, you can make that argument where they have to cooperate with law enforcement. But the post was so long, and you have to take a step back and say, what was the harm to him to go back and testify and support this investigation? And
how about he just didn't get the paperwork? I'm not showing up. I don't know. What do y'all think? I don't think it's an issue of him not wanting to go back. I think it's an issue of him. He was not served.
Do what he needed to do and cooperate. If law enforcement asked me as a PI, hey, can you just keep it down a notch and just stay quiet while we get through this, I'm absolutely going to do that. And I'm going to tell them, whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do. So to his point about he was blindsided by this, it appears to me they were kind of giving him a heads up before they did serve him with a summons to come down. That's what that note was about.
Okay.
But of course, we're only speculating at this point because I haven't talked to this Mr. Fisher about what really happened.
Can you still talk to your client about what's going on, about what you testified to in the grand jury? Because his point seems to be also like he's got a conflict here. You say I can't say anything, but I got a client.
So this is an interesting point. It says Steve testified twice. This note was saying, did he say, Katie, did he say that he testified? I thought he only said he testified once. That was on the Twitter post. This note was saying he was in trouble for talking, so come and face consequences. Yeah, but you still have to serve him, especially with contempt. If you're gonna, violate him whatever way, right? He still needs to be served. In criminal contempt, you still are required to receive service, and that's not a note. That's not a sticky note, I don't know, man, but I'm no expert. I'm just thinking in my mind, listen, I'm willing to cooperate. And I think that he poses a great question. What is the harm, right? But I'm not complying to anything just based off of that. I don't know. That's just my thought.
I'm supposed to be reporting to.
Well, he's not a lawyer. So there's no private investigator privilege, so to speak, with a client, unless that client is a lawyer and the lawyer has put it under attorney-client privilege. So most likely, no, he has to cooperate, or he has to kind of, keep it down, kind of stop what he's doing, at least until they get through this grand jury phase. But to put that out on X with all of that information and basically airing his grievances, it's really not a good move, in my opinion.
Okay, let me ask you this. Why is it such a big deal? What is the worst case scenario if the ME's office was allowed to release information? What's the worst case scenario if information from the grand jury was released? I think all of us need to understand why, if it's true.
And also, please note that even if he spoke, he's a witness, right? He's a witness. He's allowed to talk. Was it when we were watching the video yesterday, Garagos talked about that. It doesn't matter if you spoke. Courtney Burgess went and testified in front of the grand jury. What is it? In New York. Okay. That same night, he went and he did it. This was on the Diddy trial. That same night, he went and he did an interview with Ariel Mitchell-Kidd on News Nation. He didn't have to stay quiet. He's just a witness. So I don't know. And Garagos said this as well.
The LAPD, the deputy district attorney, why they don't want information released about this case, particularly if there's a grand jury going on, but why in general, so many eyeballs on this, a lot of speculation. We want the family to have answers. What is the biggest danger to an investigation, to potential charges, if information is released at this time?
Well, you basically have two reasons. One is a media reason, in my opinion, is basically they don't want to fuel the fire of all the speculation and conspiracy theories and all this. And so they want to kind of keep everything close to the vest. They've been through this. LA DA's office is the center of high profile crime. The second reason is based upon what's in the ME report, it might tip off somebody who, and so they want to make sure they keep all that to themselves, so they have an opportunity to perhaps talk to everybody and they're not tipped off.
If it's true Beth Silverman is heading up this case, I mentioned some of her career highlights. That's a big name to be a part of this. What do you make of that?
Well, just the fact that she impaneled an investigative grand jury shows me her level of, if true, good point. It shows me her level of sophistication and talent, and she knows what she's doing. And she is arguably probably the best homicide DA in that office and the most experienced. So she really is making sure, if it is true that she has a grand jury, that all of her T's are crossed and her I's are dotted, and it's going to be a clean prosecution, as clean as you can have a prosecution in this type of case.
I wanted to ask you real quick also about the Santa Barbara trip. I don't know if we've had a chance to talk about it, but it's now a point that seems to be confirmed by law enforcement. They're looking into whether or not David took this trip, whether or not that is somehow in connection to what happened.
Who was at that trip? That's the question too.
To Celeste, either her death or disposal of her body, spring. What do you make of that?
Well, I think, once again, speculating what's on the supercomputer that's in that Tesla, and or a phone, they're going to see a certain amount of time that he was in Santa Barbara, and that might be a key point in their timeline in terms of what happened to Celeste. Like I said, we don't know who did this, what they did, or who's doing it, but the fact, based on that, they confirmed this fact, the LAPD, that he was in Santa Barbara for a set period of time. I can only speculate that they may be matching up or reconciling that with her time of death, and that's why that time is so important of when he was in Santa Barbara.
Colin L. Schmidt, thanks for coming on, trying to make sense of this for us. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Appreciate it.
And that's all we have for you right
now. I guess we'll see what happens, man. I guess we'll see what's happened. First Liberties podcast says, as a general rule of law, public notices are more like courtesies. What matters is what the court records show. That's true. Listen, I don't know. I'm not a witness. I could tell you all that right now. So I guess we'll see how a lot of this plays out. It's kind of where we're at. We'll see how all of this plays out. But I will say this, that this DA does not look like she's playing. So if anybody's violating anything with the court, people are going to be held responsible for whatever that may be. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hold up. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Moving forward. I want to see, somebody told me to check this at the very beginning. They just sent this to me. Thank you to the person that sent this to me. Let me know what you guys think. I don't know if it's new news or if it's just repeated news at this point. I don't think we have new news, but let's get into this.
The suspect here, the man that is testifying, is his very close day-to-day manager, and that's the key thing there, day-to-day manager, because he knows a lot. Robert Morgenroth, we told you about Robert Morgenroth, is the man who been testifying for the grand jury, and at first you think, well, why is
this manager of his tour, manager of his career.
And really, he was an executive. He was a general manager.
This is today, right? No, this is the 10th. This isn't even the right date. Hold up. Like wait, today is the 11th. Let me make sure it's the right link. Oh, okay, here it is. Here it is. I'm like, oh my God, we already watched this. Are they wearing the same clothes? Oh, because it says the 10th. This isn't new. This isn't new information, guys. This is yesterday's information. I'm not playing that. It's not new information. I thought it was because they're wearing the same clothes. Hold up. Let me shout out some people. They said, Tinkletits says, thank you for the 5. Harvey is oh my God. Well, thank you, Tinkletits. He just, he works a lot. I think that's what it is. Maybe he doesn't get enough sleep. Pika has been a member for 33 months. Thank you, Pika. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Thank you, Pika. Shout out to Pika. Dr. Edwards, member for 6 months. Thank you, love. Christoph and Fam, new member. Shout out to you. Biker Batty says, can you go over Celeste reading done recently? Sloan Bella? I really what's the word? I really try not to go over is Sloan Bella a psychic? Is that what she is? Y'all can like whoever you want. I'm not here to tell you. Go with honestly, it's just a personal thing for me. It's not any issue against anybody. People have recommended me to go and watch so and so who's a psychic. I can't really do. It's a thing that I had that I really don't really like, if that makes sense. I don't like have I watched them before? Have I talked about them before? Yes. Have I given commentary? Mediums. That's what it is. Yeah, I really struggle with them. I do. Maybe because I just believe that sometimes you have to wonder whether the dead want to actually be contacted, But that's just a personal belief. But thank you so much, Biker Batty, for the $2. I mean, if you have some thoughts about it, let me know. I just don't feel like going over it. The law says, well, let me go contact. I'm going to contact the DA and say, well, Sloan Bella said this on her video. And look, shout out to her. Shout out to her. I just can't. I can't do it, y'all. I can't. You said it feels like TMZ and Harvey Levin is butting up with David's lawyer. I don't know if they are, though. It seemed like they were initially. I'll give you that. I just don't know what I believe anymore. I don't know. Let me see if there's been any new. What? That's not the one. Yes, it's the date is on the title. Queen, the date is on the title, December 10th. That's the same video as yesterday. They just uploaded it 55 minutes ago. You got to check the date on the title. The date is there. Today's the 11th. They uploaded yesterday's pre-recorded live today and then put huge shocking news. That's why a lot of people get confused. They do that a lot on TMC. Yeah, they upload the day after. Remember when we did this a couple days ago? Was it during Thanksgiving? We're like, oh, breaking news. And it turns out that this was already news from like days ago. So they do that all the time. Yeah. Rabbit, did you play the clip where the last night a second witness was arrested? Did she? No, Darcy. What clip? What clip are you referencing? Yeah, I know you're king, but I just don't feel like playing it. Like I said, it's a belief thing. I really struggle with the celebrity psychic mediums. Sometimes I have played them, but I'm not feeling this one. I think my struggle is that this is a 14-year-old young, a child that I struggle with that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how I feel about playing a psychic. I've played it. I've played Sloan Bella before when it was during the Diddy trial and she was talking about Kim Porter. But I just can't. And please, respectfully, I'm not going to. I think we got are you talking about Sloan Hooks or Sloan Bella? Sloan Bella is the psychic. Sloan Hook is the other big content creator. Shout out to Sloan Hooks. Oh, is that who you're talking about? Okay, did he drop new information or let me see. Y'all remember that video that he did because I think he got like some insider information or something like that. Shout out to Sloan. Let's see video. He dropped an interesting video. Oh, this one? Hold up.
Investigation, and it looks like there will be an arrest soon. So
You talk about this one right here? Okay. Nothing new? It's just a recap. Yeah, I mean, it's just a recap. The blonde dude. All right, all right, all right. I mean, is there anything new that we hear here? Or is it just a recap of what we've already heard? Player off? No. Sorry.
let's get into it.
So yeah, this is, I think we know this info. Let's see. I don't want to replay something that we already know. Yeah, he goes into the his lawyer.
And closed doors. Robert told his lawyer that the district attorney, Beth Silverman, had been very pushy while questioning him. Robert was heard telling his lawyer that he explained to the prosecutor that he did not feel that it was within his scope to contact authorities in this specific situation.
Okay.
Quote,
So it's a recap of a lot of the information we've already heard. OG Rabbit, hold on 1 minute. You said, Rabbit, we would not ask you to recap a psychic reader. Please don't. I actually, when I looked, I've done it before. I just really struggle with certain cases. This one for me is a struggle because the victim is 14 years old. I don't like it. When it was the Kim Porter situation, I think there was like something that Sloan Bella predicted and everybody was talking about it and stuff like that. And it just, it went. So I was like, sure, let me review it. And that's what I did. Thank you so much, Biker Baddie. Thank you. It's just something that don't sit right with me. I think that's what it is. But it's all good. Y'all go watch and support whoever you want to. I'll never tell you not to, okay? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Now, hold up. Let me shout out Haley Marie. Thank you for becoming a member. Shout out to you. Thank you. Thank you. If there's new information that comes up, of course, we going to talk. That's what we do, okay? You said we don't do psychic readings. Well, it's not that I don't. You guys are entitled to whatever you guys want to do. I struggle. I really struggle with them, but you guys are entitled to that. If there's new information that comes out, of course we'll review it. You guys are entitled to your opinion, whatever that is, however you guys feel. I guess we'll keep an eye out. Hopefully we'll hear some news in the next couple of days. It feels like things are heating up. Maybe before the end of the year, we'll hear something. Okay. I will see you guys on the next one. Hit the like button. Bye, guys. Bye, bye, bye.